Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been 7 rounds of door-to-door action. We have traveled the world, fighting in some of the most high-speed circuits, and now going to the most technical. But we leave that all behind for a circuit that is 13.6 kilometers long, known to put man and machine at odds with one another. It is all about fighting. It's where championships rise, champions become legends, or, in infamy, fall down, break down, heartbreak on a universal level. We are here at Circuit de Sarthe, out in France, opened in 1923, but here for 2025, we have our championship. Round 8 of the RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship Season 2 looks to take off. And joining me in the box for all the action, Mr. Lamar Ultimate himself, Cameron de Bastos. Cameron, welcome to a very, very interesting race where championships are on the line. Drivers are ready to fight it out. But that being said, new names coming into the mix, new cars arriving into the mix as well, that can just throw a spanner in the works for our battles. What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, a very beautiful, touching opening there, Stephen. Really trying to encompass the history that is Circuit de la Sarthe, next to a quaint little town, Lamar, in France, where many battles have happened from the 1960s, where Ford took on Ferrari, and hopefully soon going to reignite that fire again with Ford announcing its new Hypercar program. And also saw some heartbreak with Toyota in 2016, stopping right before the final lap. But you mentioned it, championships are going to be decided tonight with the Hypercar GTP class still close between the Delta Negative teammates of Jan Kleinhans and Chris Stalls. Chris hoping to defend his title, and then Jan's trying to take it back from him. However, in our GT3 side, the title has already been clinched by the likes of Carl Oosthuizen, but second and third is still up for grabs, and the title championship there is very, very close. It is, as you mentioned, Lamar, a very, very technical track with twisting, very hard-braking, twisting off-camber corners, some very fast sweeping corners, and then very high-speed corners as well, specifically the Porsche curves. So it's going to be very much with going to take a lot of the drivers to really maintain the pace out of it, and some new cars coming in and new drivers showing some face here in order to fill out some places on the grid in form of testing. But I did have a little bit of a piece of paper slipped to me, Steve, as I did find out that our GT3 leader, Carl Oosthuizen, unfortunately failed scrutineering here at Le Mans. As we all know, scrutineering gets imposed at the Circuit de Sarthe to make sure the cars are able to get across these bumpy roads that makes up a majority of this very long circuit here. And unfortunately, that means that he will be starting close to the back as possible, and hoping to fight it out with Jan Blichner also scraping by with a bit of a slap on the wrist there. But the big news is Carl Oosthuizen unfortunately will be having to start from the pits unless they are able to sort out the car before the end of quali. But championship is on the cards here, Stephen. We spoke about it this entire season. It's been a close battle for our GT3 class, our biggest GT3 field we've had since the inauguration of this championship, and now it is even closer than ever before, with many names unfortunately not making it out here tonight. Michael van Rooyen not being able to make it here tonight, with the season not going his way, but unfortunately also some personal matters getting involved and having to say, listen guys, I have to set out for this one, but we cheer you on for the very, very best. But take a look at that, Stephen. That is a car that we both know very, very well. The Aston Martin GT3 Vantage Evo spec. Beautiful V8 engine. Love the sound it makes every time you shift it up and down. And it seems to be performing quite well with Via Tuberta. Still need to put on a lap time here, but just look at it sweeping through that first chicane there. Give me your thoughts, Steve. Give me your thoughts on the car and as well as the championship.
Vietia Borta, I was having a chat to him a bit earlier, and he's quite confident around the circuit. He says it is a lot of straight line, and that's where the mind tends to wander. So he's got to be rather careful and keep into slipstreams. But that being said, our GT3s aren't the only Aston Martins on the grid, because Maldre Claessen's, after getting a 3rd place at Monza, after unfortunately Jeff LaRue landing up in a problem, has taken the chance to jump into the Aston Martin Valkyrie, the engine that has been voted 2025's best sounding race car of modern time for 2025. So it's all the modern cars, the Toyotas, the Porsches and such, and this has really taken the cake, going and fighting it out with the Cadillac in terms of sound. But interested to see him out there. However, he is joined by his fellow teammates, Henry Mayer and Fleming Bauer. The Pandacity team coming in with 3 cars to come and fight it out. They're not going to be scoring points here tonight. They are coming to make an impact. They are coming to show, listen, we're here. We're ready to race. And come season 3, we're in for a fight. But the main talking points is Fleming Bauer loses the car. I mean, this is one of the champions of ACC. Unfortunately, not quite getting the grip he would like. The championship comes down to this. Chris Stalls, who's fighting it out against his own teammate, Johan Kleinans, the Peugeot against Ferrari. But a driver that's returning, Brandon Kruger, comes to the fray yet again to come and fight it out and looking to be at the top. JD Kildenace joining out his teammate Virtia Buerta, the Logistical Nightmare Racing team, are going to be having a bit of fun. They are also gearing up for more endurance racing out on LMU. However, there is going to be the championships fighting out. Vega Hrobler being one of those cars, after having a bit of contact at Monza, was able to claw his way back into the top 10. Now looks to score as many points as possible to put himself on the top running of it all. And right here at RaceFace.Pro, taking a look at our VIP grandstands, that is absolutely packed here tonight. We have got the likes of Don Vinalea from Logistical Nightmare Racing. He's going to be supporting. He's from the console side, moving a little bit into the PC. We got Chad Davis, David Van Veek, so many more cheering on. And at the end of this championship, first, second, and third of our Hypercar and our GT3 will be receiving a custom-made trophy that has been designed and made by SPR and Rhino Utility to put on their shelves to be undisputed in the world of sim racing here in South Africa.
But absolutely, those trophies are something that every one of these drivers are hoping to clinch, as well as we did give a run through of our hyperclass. They're also in the battle that's going on there. And I did mention earlier, Stephen, the standings for the points regarding our GT3s. It's close. We have Carl Oesterhuizen. He's absolutely ran away with 144 points, clinching that title with a dominant performance all the way from round 3 up until round 6, round 7 not going his way, unfortunately, with a bit of a collision between himself and the likes of Jeff LaRue. But what also shook a few things up is the dominating win from Andrei Macheska, going from being a few positions down to being second now and only 3 points ahead the likes of Dion Kapp. And right behind Dion Kapp is Johan Blichenoot, hoping to get that position back from Dion and take the 3rd position there also. But Vega Hrobler, also one to not be forgotten about, also there lurking around in 5th position, hoping to get positions or get points back and hopefully move up. And we all know Le Mans, very tricky. You can't determine who is going to be the winner. The Mans chooses the winner itself. That's why we've seen many heartbreaks. Myself and Stephen experienced in many of our expeditions. It is not a circuit that is forgiving. It might just look like a bunch of straights. Yes, high speed might be the key factor, but it is not all down to speed. It's about focus. It's about knowing where you are on that circuit. It is a very long circuit. A slip of the mind and you don't know where you are, and it leads into another one and into another one, and at the very end you'll think, oh great, you're turning right now for the 2nd chicane on the Mulsanne straight. Guess what? No, you're not. You have to turn right in order to go down Mulsanne corner. So it's going to be it's a very long circuit, and if you are out there alone, it does seem to make your mind wander a bit, as it's not always the best one. Not the most interesting track to look around at sceneries.
Well, as we jump on board, this is just off the bonnet of Belgium Frobler. He's on a good pace through the end of Mozon corner, that sharp hairpin. It's flat out heading towards the top. And now, small kink of the right-hander. You keep flat on the gas, travel your way through, heading up to the Toyota Gazoo Racing Bridge. Very, very famous bridge that's had numerous amounts of advertising on it, but that is a reference to where you are on the circuit, especially at night. 100 meter board, brake as little bit, you're down into fifth. Now you rocket down into second gear, hook the left-hander, flat on the gas, let the rear bring you around, short little straight through Indianapolis, hard on the brakes, down into second, going to first, bring the revs up nice and gently and dive, heading through towards the Porsche curves. This is always a tricky point because you don't know whether you want to be on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, as a slight kink to the left can start getting you ready for the Porsche curves. You're going to go into the left-hander, wait for your mark, 100 meter on the brakes. You're turning while you're on the brakes. This is a fourth gear corner for the GT3s. You keep it nice and tight to the right-hand side. Bring it in through the Porsche curves. You've got to bring it right to the wall, nearly kissing it. Hold left, down into, so from fifth to fourth, in through the right-hander. Keep fourth gear the whole way through. Don't go too far. Track limits are here on the right-hand side, are very abusive. And dive your way through, heading towards the pits. Now, what you want to try and utilize is a slight kink towards the pits and aim into the corners. Fourth down to third, travel down to second, keep the momentum, down into first, and flat back on the gas as you charge your way through. I mean, this is what the circuit's all about. This is what we are really, really looking forward to. And Bego putting on a performance to show us, hey, listen, he's out here to make it work with a 4:01.2 around the circuit here, Cam. Very, very quick time, but the question is, can that hold for qualifying? Because Esteban Pretorius, who has been one of our top fighters this season, looks to really charge it up towards the top. And I've got to say, this is going to be interesting. Now, I'm going to be taking about a 3-week break after this season, and then we'll be back. So if you are interested, keep an eye out on SimGrid. Join us out on the Discord as well, and keep in touch. We will have some fun races in between as well. And taking a look, I'm getting a bit of news in. Johan Blutnight say he's rushing home to get to drive. So that car is still sitting in the pits, not able to get going for qualifying, but he wants to be there. He wants to fight it out and wants to be at the top of the running order. I mean, this is always a tricky time, but Cam, let's think about this. You've got drivers like Mordre Claassen, who showed a dominating run at Monza, now second place in the Hypercars. That means he's going and putting a firm gap between himself and Chris Stalls. Stalls and Johan Kleinert. Now, Mordre's not going to score points here, but Johan Kleinert starting in third is going to have Brandon Kruger, who's not fighting for the championship, right on his tail and looking to fight it out. I mean, take a look at the times as well. Stelz with a 3:24.2 in the Hypercar, and Fleming Bauer further pushing down. Now, the Aston Martins are extremely quick. They are the more favored cars here tonight at Le Mans. But that being said, it's not about having these cars affecting the championship by finishing second and third. They're not scoring any points. But it does bring the competition just that little bit closer and maybe in a little bit more harm's way. Do you really want to be in that situation, or do you want to beat out the likes of Fleming Bauer and Mordre Claassen, who's currently up in the second sector, now heading into the final one, seeing Fleming Bauer put in a 3:24.8?
Well, Steve, you kind of touched on it. Me and you spoke about it a bit earlier before we went live tonight. Is yes, Mordre Claassen, the Pandacity drivers coming out here full force with the Aston Martin Valkyrie, and it is going to be, yes, they might not be scoring points now, but they are still placing from a team perspective. From a driver's perspective, for myself, we both have fought out for many championships, and having that bit of a car between yourself and your closest competitor, even though they're not scoring points, is still a bit of a wall you have to overcome. Yes, no points being scored, meaning they don't matter to you. But you can't, if they are faster than you and put that wall between yourself and your championship rival, you are not able to fight your championship rival, as you have to overtake 2 other cars in order to really take the fight to your rival. So it's going to be a bit of a difficult one. It is not something, it's not really something to I don't know, it's a bit of a difficult one. It's great to see more cars out.
It's not favoured by some, but it is favoured for others. I've got to say, I love the competition.
For the leaders, yes. Yes, competition is great. For the leaders, they love it. Although for the chasers, it's a bit of a thorn in the side. I will be honest. It's a bit of a thorn on the side, a slow puncture that comes out onto your wheels as you run wide at Northern Corner and into the kitty litter. It is a bit of a pain.
F4, I'm just hearing Bathurst F4, Bathurst F4.
Hey, okay, yes. I'm going. Bathurst F4 is my Abu Dhabi 2021 story. It will stay. It will go to my grave. It has that, but unfortunately, it is in the past. It's gone. I have my trophy in the shelf there to still say I got it in the top of the championship, so I'm happy with that. But it is still a bit of a thorn on the side. It's favoured for the people in the front of the championship. For those at the back chasing the other drivers, not as much. But it's something that hopefully we'll see tonight will be quite fun as. I mean, they're not still able to dethrone the mighty Peugeot that's dominating here on the French circuit. But another point, Stephen, is this LMGT3 that we're looking at here now. Me and you both, we've seen lap times before of many drivers, not just in the sim, but also in other sims that have this circuit, as we see the Lamborghini pop into one of the newer pit stalls that they have here at Le Mans, not the old ones. The old ones are the ones on the left there. We've seen these GT3s pop in times that are sub 4 minutes, mainly about 3-minute 53s, 3-minute 54s, I've even on some, but reaching there. But it's quite strange. We haven't seen it from these drivers just yet, able to break that sub 4 minute gap or timer there. It's something that I don't know if the drivers are used to it yet, not knowing how to maximize. I mean, there is a bit of tricks in order that chances between some of these sims. I've noticed specifically on the Mulsanne straight with these GT3s, and that's the Pac-Man method. It's something that gains a bit of speed for you if you do it, but makes a bit of a headache for your faster cars to get past.
If you're running a car too low down that back straight, you're riding in between the 2 lanes. Remember, this is still a active street during the day here at Le Mans, and that's what makes it a little bit more tricky, as the undulations of the circuit and also trucks and that were running the last 2-3 weeks that you didn't know about start affecting. But that being said, qualifying is over. Last of the times put on the board was Mike McGear. He's going to be chasing right next door to Conrad Martin in the McLaren. But it's Crystals leading out the top of the board for the Hypercars. Esteban Pretorius will be leading out the field for the GT3 class. And for Season 2, the finale, this is it. Game, set, match. If you're not on for an outright fight, if you're not willing to put it all on the line, well, you've got no one to blame but yourself. And tonight, we're going to be seeing it all. Let's quickly go through the starting order. As we got Crystals and Fleming Bauer, they're going to be holding out the first position. Mordred Claessens will line up side by side with championship rival Johan Kleinans in fourth. Brandon Kruger, Jaco Kutzer, Jean Fiers, Henry May, and Bernard Barkhuizen will round out our hypercars in the course of the entire year. And we're looking forward to seeing what they can do. Bernard Barkhuizen, I don't think, is on the grid here tonight. Esteban Pretorius, Begor Krobler, Kriamoton, Dion Karp, Virtia Buerta, Dennis Gillett, J.D. Gildenace, Arne Kraus, Conrad Martin, and Mike McGear round out your top 10. 11th position, Carl Oosthuizen, the championship winner for Season 2 on the GT3 side, is going to be starting a little bit further back, along with Gerard VDV, Chris Heineke, Vesselwoda, Ulrich Kleinans, Andre Macheka will be a little bit further down. Kerry Duplessis, Jan Blutnoot made it to the grid, but only just, as he will be heading out onto the circuit and hoping to try and get himself sorted. Ice cold start for him, not a very good one, but congrats to making it, and well done to Blutnoot on that. I'm sure he's sweating before he even tried. Terry Duplessis, Johan Bluknoot, Dan Brown, Carl Stig, and Michael van Rooyen round out the lots. So far, it has been a championship to remember. 50 cars battled it out throughout the championship, but tonight we can only say well done to the winners. In the hypercars, there's going to be the battle of Crystals and Johan Kleinans, and for the GT3s, well, keep an eye out for second and third place as they're extremely close in the battle. And we are getting ready to rock and roll. Out in front, ACC champion that has represented RaceFace.Pro in the ACC Community Championship along with Henry Mayer. Fleming Bauer, for the first time making his debut here on LMU, takes on the fastest driver out of the hypercars, and I mean on track titan. Chris Stalls holds third place in the world, is now looking to try and claim victory here for the Peugeot, and walk away as a double champion in the hypercars for LMU. Mordred Claessens and Johan Kleinans will battle it out, but they start navigating their way in through the chicanes. And Cam, this is where you get excited. This is where the butterflies start to build up underneath you, and you know this all too well when you start staring at that very tight chicane, side by side, bringing the speed down and knowing that there's 1 hour and 20 minutes to fight it out for victory. 1 hour and 20 minutes to stand at the top and see who's going to claim victory at a circuit that is the most it's one of three of the most legendary circuits in the world, and very few have stood on the top spot. Crystals getting the run, he will slow it down. Fleming Bauer will get himself ready in the Aston Martin Valkyrie. First time they're showing out here, the Aston Martin Valkyries lining up, waiting, green flag, and we are racing. And immediately Kleinans trying to get the run, but not having an easy one as he's got the Aston Martins keeping busy. The Panassi machines fighting it out, but Crystals trying to open up the gap. Forces Fleming Bauer to the outside. Kleinans dives for the inside line, and it is a little bit of problems coming in for the likes of Fleming Bauer and Mordred Claessens as Brandon Kruger launches himself up into third place and continues on. Kleinans, however, is all the way back and having to cut his way through the GT3 field. Not quite the start he wants as Esteban Torres, Beggar Formula, Gurmaton, and Dion Cup start to open up the gap. And it's just a mighty race for everyone off the start. And with cold tires, this is not going to be easy.
No, absolutely not, Stephen. And this brings back again. He tried to get an early jump on the Aston Martins and locking up, and unfortunately running wide on the chicane and spinning out a bit there. And now we already see side-by-side action between Crystals and Fleming Bauer, defending champion against the likes of newcomer but ACC champion Fleming Bauer now down the
big
second
impact!
part.
Big impact in the background.
That is okay. That's Mordred Claessens. That is the Aston Martin Valkyrie that's seen better days, and that is not what the car was designed to look like. It has no rear wing. The V12 is not very happy in there, and again, it is going to be one of those side by side into the second chicane. Crystals goes there, runs a bit wide, cuts the corner. That second is the Aston Martin of Fleming Bauer and Brandon Kruger says, thank you very much, I'm a sneak on by. Three manufacturers rumbling down onto the hard braking zone side by side for Mulsanne corner. It's hard on the brakes. Who's best on the brakes? Who's best there? The Ferrari again showing its dominance as it has for the past 3 years at Le Mans in real world, running right to the curb, and now it's on to the middle. Crystals holding his line, forcing Brandon Kruger to be on the outside, and again just getting a better run out of Mulsanne corner, but it's not over yet. It's two quick flicks to the right side before it's hard on the brake into Indianapolis, or as we both know and love to call it, fuddy-duddy, and then onto Arnage. It's still side by side, swapping positions, forward, backwards, hard on the brakes, quick flick to the quick brake, hard on the brakes, then into Indianapolis, hard down, shift into second. Do not lock up your tires there, and then again hard on the brakes, using the track as best as you can, and then into Arnage and the long run up into Porsche curve to the cars, where the Porsche, well, not Porsche, but not even the Porsche already performing, where the GTPs will have much more downforce and can navigate faster through those tight bending twists. And let's take a look back at our GT3s as they head through through Indianapolis. With Jan Kapp sitting third, he just needs to stay close to the likes of Begor Grobler in hoping to outscore him and claim his third position. But Andre Matejka, I do not see out here, Steven. So Andre Matejka is not, I believe, is not racing tonight, meaning that he will forfeit his second position.
There he is. There he is.
There he
down
is.
in 10th.
Not the race though.
He's got Honor Kraus on the back of him. Conrad Martin dealing with the likes of Gerard VDV. We'll keep an eye at the top three because it's Begor Grobler who leads out in the Merc. He's got Dion Kamp on the back of him. Herman Ton showing what he can do in the BMW. Vietia Buerta waiting for his opportunity. And he's got the likes of Dennis Gillett and the current... Oh, Dennis has lost it. Dennis lost the rear. Coming out of Porsche, curves and saves it away from the barrier. Kyle Oosthuizen was so close to him there. Could have been a mistake for our GT3 champion for Season 2 of the Le Mans Ultimate Championship. But still keeps going on. Jan Bluknoot continues on the fight with JD Hildenace as well. But taking a look over to our virtual grandstands, the guys are going absolutely wild up there, Ken. And it's good to see so many drivers fighting it out. Gotta say, Le Mans Ultimate, one of those sims that really does put your PCs to test, and well, my one's definitely getting it, but it's still looking so good to see it out there. We also have some legendary names returning, not only on circuit, as we do see Dion Cup trying to go on the inside for the undercut on Begor Grobler. We've also got Camo, also Cameron Nell, former driver here at RaceFace.Pro for ACC and iRacing. But Begor Grobler putting the pressure on. Dion Cup door to door, beautifully done. Third gear, contact between the two. Begor does bring back here a little bit of contact in Maton's car. That fouled him up just enough, heading onto the Mozon. And unfortunately, Virtua Buerta lost that little bit of pace, and he sacrificed his position. Carl Oosthuizen gets by. Bluknoot gets on past Virtua Buerta, as now they've got to keep on the toe as the battle continues of our GT3s. A little bit further back, Mike McGear, Honor Kraus, all fighting it out with one another. Matejka a little bit further back, as we do see the likes of Carl Steek, who wants to keep on going. He's out there in the Lexus as well, chasing down Gerard van der Venter. So many battles are happening out on the circuit. Unfortunately, one retirement, Mordred Claessens, with that massive hit against the wall coming out of the first chicane, and that will put to bed his chances of seeing it through. He's going to be supporting his fellow teammates. But Jaco Kutzer, who took his first ever top run at Monza, now fights out against Fleming Bauer and Henry Mayer, both in the Aston Martin Valkyries, the Ferrari, needing to really dig deep here.
And absolutely, Steven, and he had his first lead laps in last time around at Monza, but unfortunately, I just had to laugh in pain here a little bit with the lone Toyota there, all the way at the back, still circulating just like his real life counterpart. So sad. But we do see this battle going on here with Jan Kleinhardt hoping, it's not a dead last, but Jan Kleinhardt hoping to close the gap on the likes of Fiat and getting his positions back to where he was now, as he still has a championship going on around here. But the Aston Martin Valkyrie, we have to speak about this one, Stephen. It is the Aston is on the Aston Martin side of the car, but it's also, I believe, a collaboration between Red Bull Performance at the time, whose lead designer was Adrian Newey, and I believe the prototype or predecessor or road version of this car, or one I think, was the RB17. And any of the keen-eyed motorsport F1 supporters out there will notice that Red Bull did make a jump from the RB16, then the next year at the RB16B, and then RB18, due to the fact that they didn't want to confuse the RB17 on the track with the RB17 that they released earlier this year, last year, Adrian Newey was still there. But the two cars, the Valkyrie and the RB17, are quite similar in terms of its shape and the technology behind it, I believe, in terms of the ground effect that's being deployed there.
The road car, the only manufacturer to build a road-going hypercar before everyone else, Aston Martin, taking that bit of a reverse start to those that are putting cars out there, followed by Porsche that eventually released their one-on-one. And Ferrari has started making a little bit more customer cars in terms of their 499P. But however, it's good to see the Aston Martins debuting here at RaceFace.Pro. Whole season they haven't been running, but good to see them out there. However, Brandon Kruger leads out the pack in the Ferrari 499. He's opened up the gap to Chris Stalls. And for the first time, Chris is now looking at the rear wing and saying, hold on, this is now full position in the points. Remember, he needs a victory here to stay ahead of Johan Kleinans. Kleinans needs to beat the likes of Chris Stoll. So there's always that little bit of going on. Fleming Bauer and Henry Mayer for the first time joining in LMU, trying to run together. Pat Lassie team hoping to run in a little bit of tight formation. They got Jaco Kutzer a little bit further back. Jean Verveers a little bit further back from there in the Toyota. You say a bit of a lonely run, but honestly, Jean has been really making sure he's there for every race. He's going and putting in the effort, and also putting a bit of family support in on a Thursday night. Johan Kleinans trying to recover after that start. Let's go a little bit further into our GT3, says Esteban Pretorius, a driver that has really hit the scene and made an absolute impact, from sitting mid-grid to back-of-grid to not being able to get it to races to one of our dominating cars in the only Lamborghini in the field. Now leads out. He's got his teammate on the back of him, Carl Oosthuizen, trying to make up some time, but Dion Kopp and Jan Blichnout, who are fighting out for the championship here. Blichnout, on his return after going to work, is now ice cold, trying to warm up in the race, and he's got Dion Kopp just ahead of him in that Ferrari 296. It is going to be interesting here. The straight six versus the V6, both turbocharged, both with the same amount of horsepower, both actually closer in terms of dry weight to one another before BOP is even implemented. Different ideas and different things coming into play, but Viertia Kobler a little bit further back, and Diego Kobler, critical mistake on him, is down in 6th place at the moment, and that is going to influence the championship as Blichnout continues on his charge.
Yeah, I tried to do a quick math here, but regarding the standings here, Stephen. But I can say this that both the likes of Crystals and Johan Kleinans have mathematically secured their positions, with Crystals on being 173 points and Johan Kleinans 112 points. So, in all fairness, if Johan Kleinans wants to snatch this championship from the likes of Stalls will need to either DNF, and Jan will need to win the win it in order to close that 61-point gap. One can say, if that's not really possible. However, there's a massive battle for third between Jean Verveers, Brandon Kruger, and Jaco Kutzer, with Jean being able to only win. He's currently in the lead, but will be vulnerable, and he will lose third if Brandon Kruger finishes ahead of him, unless they finish fourth and fifth respectively, and a tie on which Brandon will be third and Juan will be Jean Verveers will be fourth, and will then go third, will then go to the likes of Brandon Kruger due to better season results. And Jaco Kutzer, if he outscores him by 8 points, for example, if Jaco wins, and Jean must finish P2 to hold him off. That's the only reason how Jaco Kutzer will be able to take him over there. However, over onto our GT3 one is where it's quite interesting. With Andrzej Maciejka, he must prevent Dion Kopp from scoring 4 points, a 4-point gap for him. So as it currently stands, Dion Kopp will take second. However, Dion Kopp must also will need to, well, actually just needs to take a finish. Yeah, and he's scoring by 5 points plus. However, Jan Blichnout is one that the driver that ran all the way from work, jumped in his car and made it, no qualifying, just straight into the race. He needs a top tier result with a poor finish from the likes of Maciejka and
big mistake for Bego Krobler. Huge mistake for Bego Krobler, losing it and smashing the rear of the car. Bego Krobler is out of the race. Bego Krobler is a DNF after a major impact with the wall.
I was about to get to him, Steve, because I was about to say he would have need a near perfect scenario, and he must win the race ideally with the fastest lap in order to have enough points to win. But all three other drivers in front of him need to have be outside the top points positions, meaning from P6 and lower. That hope is completely gone. That's out the window. That is written on the stomach and wiped off, as my mom would always say. it's gone. That means no P3 finish for the likes of Belgo Grobler. So, or P2 even. So that's now blown open that championship. It's less stress for the likes of Andre Matejka, Dejan Kopp, and Johan Blichnout. But it's still a battle with Dejan Kopp sitting fourth currently. Fourth, fighting off the likes of Buerta. But currently as it stands, he needs to get P2 and have Matejka finish fifth or worse. But I'm trying to figure out a calculation that's needed to have him jump above Dejan Kopp. Currently, I do believe they will switch positions because Dejan Kopp is behind the likes of Johan Blichnout.
Blichnout holding third place onto the back of Carl Oosthuizen. Will be fighting to get on through. Carl Oosthuizen not wanting to drop out of the top three. Yes, he has taken the championship, but Blichnout is going to be hunting him down here. The Omnis Gaming driver, a little bit of a wiggle on the front of the nose, saying, listen, I don't want you to move just as yet. I need the toe. And it looks like roughly an understanding between Oosthuizen and Blichnout of working with one another to ensure they continue forward. So it's still going to be an interesting one. Carl Steeg into pit lane. This is an interesting and very, very early stop for the likes of the Lexus, as he does stop towards the boxes. This is definitely a weird one, and it looks like that is Carl Steeg out of the race. DNF for him. Mechanical problems taking the Lexus out of the race. Carl Steeg out of the race. Belgo Grobler and Mordre Claessens also join him in retirement for this final round of the RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship, and this has just taken things to an all-new level. We knew the pressure was high. We knew the fights were out there. We knew that championships were on the line, up and down. Not only just in the top three, but further down as well, as we do see Conrad Martin fighting it out with Arno Kras. These two know each other rather well from Assetto Corsa Competizione and also AC as well. So Assetto Corsa now taking the fight to LMU. Arno Kras hunts for the inside line, not able to get a bite. They have got Mike McGeer keeping some pressure on the back, hoping for just an opportunity to get on by. I do, however, want to take a look back to the sharp end, as Johan Blichnout has gotten ahead of Carl Oosthuizen through Indianapolis, and now Dejan Kopp will be mashing his teeth together to figure out what he needs to do here. Oosthuizen and Blichnout seemingly had an agreement on the straight and went and decided, hey, listen, let's make this work out in our favor. However, Dejan Kopp will be thinking a little bit further down this. Vietia Buerta, who has been the talk of the pit currently, has been cheering on that not only is there new drivers coming into the likes of the hypercars, but also those in the GT3. Who's going to make those crucial and critical errors, like we just saw Belgo Grobler go and throw onto the dirt. Quick one coming in, Crystals and Henry Mayer now battling it out. And also, fun little fact, this actually does use the R-Factor 2 game engine, but is getting looked after a lot more than R-Factor 2. Henry Mayer falling behind Crystals and continues on the charge. Oh, bit of a mistake for Fleming Bauer as he lights the rears up a little too quickly on the GTP. But Brandon Kruger falling down the gap here. This is not quite what they want to have.
No, absolutely not, Stephen. And just a quick response to the likes of Carl Steeg having to retire the car. It is due to being involved in an incident with another driver. And yes, this is a driver that was fighting for a P2 in the overall standings for our GT3s. Andre Matejka, unfortunately, also having to retire, stating having wheel connectivity issues. He did not experience, or did not realize the wheel of the Lexus, the wheel of the BMW was wearing away. Unfortunately, some issues with the steering wheel there leading to the accident, and unfortunately the likes of Carl Steeg being an innocent bystander there and getting taken out of the race. So that's two cars unfortunately not able to see the checkered flag once again. Fortunately, that is also championship over for the likes of Andre Matejka, our Chechen driver, coming out here and battling it out with our local drivers here at the LMU Championship.
Honestly, it is a gut-wrenching blow, and it sits there on the mind of what can you do. Jan Blickner, Carl Oosthuizen fighting it out, but it's Vietia Buerta and Dion Cup. V8 naturally aspirated, V6 turbocharged. Dion Cup putting pressure. The Monday Night Racing admin going and giving a little bit of door-to-door, but that being said, these two have shared racing more than once, and Vietia Buerta is not a man to back out of a fight. Instead, he'll be the one that goes and scratches his nose, takes a drink, and says, right, are we going to do this here outside, or are we going to go and have a bit of fun in the ring? There is going to be a good fight between them. Vietia Buerta and Dion Cup fight their way through, but Dion Cup losing out the position, crucial to his championship. So Andrei Macheshka out of the race. Mordred Claessens, Bego Frobler, Johan Bego Frobler, Carl Stig is out of the race, but also another driver out of the race that is Vietia's teammate in Logistical Nightmare Racing in the Mercedes. All the likes of JD Hildenace out of the race as well. So this is not only just running into a problem for one driver, but it does look like JD Hildenace getting involved in that impact as well. That landed up with his retirement. And that, unfortunately, brings us up to 5 cars out of this race before we've even hit the first 20 minutes done and dusted. It's always a nightmare affair. However, we launch up to the front and we see Carl Oosthuizen defending against Bluffnote. Nightmare situation for him at the moment, as he does want to get on by. He does want to get that second place. Remember, nothing stops Carl Oosthuizen for further scoring points in the championship. However, this does bring the likes of Blicknote and Vietia Buerta and Dion Cup a little bit closer in for the fight. So it's going to be an interesting time. And if you are friends with the drivers out there, well, you're going to be talking, hey, listen, what are we going to do? Out in front, Henry Mayer getting ahead of Brandon Kruger. Pandacity ahead of Omnius Gaming as it stands. And Kruger, who is part of not only Omnius Gaming, but also part of KSRT, is now in the chase behind Henry Mayer, the newcomer to LMU. And both cars, along with Chris Stalls, are starting to catch up to the back of the pack.
Yeah, some great battling here. I wonder what's going on with Brandon Kruger's car. I mean, he took the lead and pulled a bit of a gap there. Oh, now it's not. Yeah, and this is not where you want to catch any GT3 traffic onto the exit of the Porsche curves and going through the Corvette curve. It is not where you want GT3 traffic to be in your way, and definitely not what you want. But the likes of what was going on, back to the point, Brandon Kruger, we saw it at Qatar where he had smoke coming out of his car. Didn't notice it. Nobody in the team thought to let him know. Ferrari not telling him normal stuff. Ferrari putting the normal Ferrari strat saying, we are checking, we're seeing the smoke, but we are still checking. And
drive it till it blows up. That's just the motto. You drive it till she's not driving. It's one of those moments if you sit there, you look at the fuel gauge, and when they say, yo, should we stop at a fuel station? I know my car. When the engine lights comes on, many times. I know my car.
I know my car. I can do one more lap. Meanwhile, the remaining laps remaining is 0.5, and you still have like a full lap to go. So it's all about clutching and coasting there. But curious to see what is going on with Bego Frobler's car, as he is still trying to take the fight there. But Chris Stalls is not able to keep it with him. I wonder if he's decided in his mind, I'm rather just going to keep going till the end and clinch that victory. That's, well, get the overall points as needed. No points in risking your race and your car and also the championship just to continue winning and winning and winning. You do not want that risk. You just want to see it across the line. You know who you're fighting. You know what you need to do. There is no point in risking it for the biscuit. So rather just dialing back and keep it there. But let's take a look at the virtual energy here. The Aston Martin's, funny enough, the most fuel economic of all the cars currently out there on circuits, with the Peugeot and the Ferrari all being sub 44s and maybe even directly on 40, with Jean Verveers currently in the pits. I believe doing a fast stop. Contact side by side.
Up on the inside. Turn Henry Mayer. Crystal says thank you very much. Well done to Brandon Kruger for just waiting there. Henry Mayer to rejoin, but Chris Sills going and just putting his hands together saying, bravo, boys, bravo. That is exactly what I want for Brandon Kruger. It's nightmare scenarios. Jakob Pinter and Fleming Bauer start to catch up and make their way through at the end of the Mozon straight. However, Bauer goes and backs off, not wanting to get past the likes of Mouton in under braking, would rather just give it that little bit of room, let the GT3 go. But that being said, you brought up about the virtual energy. You brought up how efficient it is. Now that you've had a bit of a problem, are you going to push more? Are you going to utilize more? And how is that going to affect your strategy of the race with 56 minutes and 38 seconds to go in the final race of the season around a circuit that's 13.6 kilometers long, with one of the longest straights in the world without the chicanes that you could race on? Now having to fight your way through. And I do want to point out two cars that did dive through pits. The likes of Fafirs has been through pit lane. So he got his car sorted out. He's on 46% and now trying to catch down the likes of Kleinans. I mean, this is just a race of nutrition, but at the same time, you got to think about what you're doing here, because whatever you decide, it's not just a 1 minute lap or a 2 minute lap to get to pit lane. You're talking about 3 to 4 minutes of outright racing. And that also goes to the same with our GT3s. How much planning in fuel, tires, and strategy have you got? I mean, Conrad Martin might get gear. They are fighting tooth and nail at the moment for 9th and 10th position, hoping to really get a little bit more of a climb. They've got like Gerald van der Vente and, unfortunately, Machaka, who is out of the race. We do know with wheel disconnectivity, definitely going to be taking that wheel out of the BMW, going back to Fanatec and saying, listen, these Corsair parts don't work. Can you replace them out with something different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you did mention about the strategy-wise now, and it's not a fast lap around here. I mean, Le Mans is the longest, well, one of the longest circuits out there that racing done. We exclude the Nordschleife because the Nordschleife is an absolute roller coaster of a ride. Other than that, this is one of the longest circuits out there that does this, that does racing. I believe Stephen might correct me if he does find something about that in his Wikipedia of knowledge somewhere. But after I spin
that does racing, just not with the WEC series.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nords is a roller coaster. It's very fun, but also, I don't say it's not as popular as most circuits. You know of it, you wouldn't normally dare to drive it. However, the likes of the collision that we had between the Aston and the Ferrari, the tires will be hot after that spin. There will be flat spots on it, and I can promise you, as well as the spectators out there, LMU mimics flat spots that if you have a direct drive and you crank it all the way up to the max, you'll be getting a full body massage and your shoulders will be killing you afterwards. As my co-commentator is saying, his shoulders will not make it because he is fragile and old, you know, of the older side. He's gonna get me back now. He's gonna make me suffer one day. But it absolutely mimics flat spots a lot, so that Aston will be shaking around a lot, but your strategy will also take a knock. The mod doesn't kill as much tires. If you take good care of them, you can double stint them, shorten your stop. There's no need to change tires and really extend it. However, after that spin, you have taken a lot of life out of your tires. They've gone through a heat cycle and then another one again. So they will be suffering about that. And Henry Mayer is giving it all he's got, hunting down. This Aston Martin is absolutely flying. I will say that. And no, unfortunately, we will not be getting the green hell on LMU green now.
Up for Henry Mayer on the left front, trying to push the car a little bit hard through the right hand, gathering as much speed as possible, late braking. That's cost him a bit of time to Chris Stalls, and now needs to figure out what is the game plan here, what more can be done to fight out for first place, what it would be for a victory here on debut for the Le Mans Ultimate here at RaceFace.Pro, and his debut, the final round of the series. I mean, this is going to be a big one, a really good showing for likes of Fleming Bauer and Henry Mayer, still keeping within the top 5 despite stiff competition out on the circuit. I also want to go back a little bit into our GT3s, which has been one of the most competitive this season and last season. Carl Oosthuizen, the winner of Season 2, is now on the back foot. SM Torres is checked out by a long shot, 4 seconds adrift to his own teammate, but Johan Bluchnout keeps the pressure on Carl Oosthuizen. Vietia Buerta coming back. This is a driver that I do want to point out. Season 1 finished 3 of the races. He's had nightmare races. He wasn't able to get going. Beginning of the season, he wasn't sure he would see it through to the end due to personal life, work life, and such. And he's had some nightmare races as well. But 13th in the championship, consistently been racing. Round 1, 20th. Round 2, 11th. Round 3, 15th. Round 4, 12th. Round 5, 18th. Round 6, 20th. But Monza, last round, last week, he got a 3rd place and hunting it down yet again. He is hoping to bring the Aston Martin up to the top. And if the continued fight between Bluchnout and Oosthuizen is anything to take a look at, as we saw with the front end, well, I think we may see a mistake creeping in the future. There is still plenty to go out here. The question that comes in for me is the pit stop strategy. Are we going to see these cars stopping on the 45-minute mark to get themselves sorted out? Or are they going to be waiting to go a little bit deeper? I mean, looking at the virtual energy for our hypercars, it's Crystals on 28%, May on 29%, Kruger on 26%, Fleming Bauer on 29%, and Kutzer sitting on 28%. If you're new to the world of, well, hypercars and how they work, a virtual energy works in 2 ways. One, it is a battery recharge. Second to that, it also brings a time limit into the pits. So you can't really get a big launch through the pits. You have to give a bit of virtual energy, so you can't just have a big tank in the cars. And since the hypercars are restricted to a point, you can play around. So instead, they worked on a timing system to have it all brought in. And this is from the WEC series and a little bit into IMSA. Back in the old days, you could go and focus on restricting how much fuel goes into the car by restricting the fuel line that which you're actually pumping going into the tank. They go and restrict the diameter. Second to that is actually restricting how much fuel can be pushed through, especially with automated systems of our current fuel rigs. Or if you want to even go further back into fuel rig situations, let's talk about height restrictions. Because yes, folks, gravity works rather well. And we found that out in racing a very long time ago. From having your height restriction of 3 meters, that is as tall as your, 3.5 meters is how tall you are allowed to have your fuel rig. Any higher than that is not allowed. The reason for that is because the higher you go, the more gravity pulls, the quicker the fluid goes into the tank, the quicker you get out. And yes, we did have a 20-foot fuel container that was out in racing, not only in Le Mans, but in NASCAR, and was sponsored by Shell, then BP, that all started with these incredibly high fuel rigs with the teams, and that had to be chopped out. 20 feet in the air, I wouldn't like to be the crane operator that's going and messing around with that, especially in a pit lane. And to be going and seeing how modern day have been trying to further bring the racing to a more affordable level with our hypercars versus the LMP1s, closer to the same build as our GT3s that landed up replacing GT1, GT2, and GTE as the most economy way to go tin top high level racing.
But we did do this, fumble of words there. As you were speaking, Stephen, something that's peeking my brain again here, that the likes of the car that's running in GTP, our hyperclass car, the car that went from road to, well, endurance racing, the Aston Martin Valkyrie, it races in that category, even though it is not classified or really can be considered a hypercar, I believe. That's one thing that they mentioned. It doesn't really have a battery deployment mode, or a battery really. It's just more ground effects and just pure power underneath that bonnet, I think.
It's the only car that is at the top with a V12. The others, it's also the one that's got the most liters of a tank, and not a tank, of an engine, because your Ferraris are actually dealing with, it's roughly about 3-liter engines that they're fighting out. Well, Fleming Bauer learning that the brakes on the Valkyrie are a little bit more that you've got to brake a little bit earlier. And LMP1s of old, with the high ground effects and that, you can really brake late, but the hypercars are a little more restricted in their aerodynamics. Even the Valkyrie is restricted in its dynamics, and that is to prevent from people going and abusing the limits out of it, to really start bringing in some really crazy contraptions. Now, I go back to the old ground effects where the tunnels were utilized, and that was incredibly awesome cars to be around. However, they became faster and faster and faster, because how the tunnel works, think of a plane wing. Air gets underneath, lifts it up. Invert the plane wing, air gets underneath, then pulls it down, creates a vacuum effect. And being around those type of cars, I can tell you, it is exciting, it is great, you have to believe it's going to work, but the faster you go, the more it's going to stick. And unfortunately for a lot of drivers, they learned the hard way that you can go faster and faster, but that stop is a stop. 300, 200, 100 kilometers an hour. That wall, that Onco barrier, that tire wall, that concrete wall has broken people in the past and has left problems. It's the same into modern day. Despite all the safety, motorsport is still dangerous, and you've got to take that into account, and designers had to take that into account. You also notice on the back of the hypercars that they've, back of the aero, and also the GT cars, it's not as wild as those of the past. The reason for that is not to create too much turbulence behind the cars. So like in the Henry Madden Crystals, where they can keep rather close to one another, or Kyle Oosthuizen and Johan Bluchnote keeping close to one another, they will experience a little bit of aero wash underneath the car, because yes, the slipstream effect means that the car ahead of you is pushing through the airstream and creating a void that you can tuck nice and easily in, pull yourself along and slingshot. You've got no resistance, while the car ahead of you's got resistance, but off the back of the car is a lot cleaner airflow. Because of the old cars, they didn't care about the person behind, and that means that the slipstream effect was actually a lot closer versus now, where you have the airflow going over, you're a bit more comfortable. The old cars, it used to come slamming off the rear wing, and you would just be shaken to pieces. In the case of Vietia Buerta, he would be getting both the airflow from the likes of Carl Oosthuizen and Bluchnote, and that Aston Martin would be atrocious to drive, and I'm sure the dentist would be worrying about the fillings in the teeth that he put in is going to be holding up to scratch. That being said, enough talking about the amazing past of everything. Let's talk about the racing at hand at the moment, because Bluchnote not getting by, as he's got Vietia Buerta keeping enough pressure on him. Carl Oosthuizen is looking to take away second points here, and despite winning it all, Esteban Pretorius is charging further and further and further and further away. Not to take it out here, Pretorius is 6th in the championship, 45 points. Begor Frobler's not going to finish, so he's going to usurp Begor Frobler, but Johan Bluchnote is next in target. If Bluchnote loses out even more positions to Vietia Buerta, to Dion Kopp, to the likes, anyone further down, if he loses out to Bouton, Dennis Gillett, Mike Nagier, Conrad Martin, Onno Kraus, Gerard VDV, he will land up going and losing out his spot as well. I mean, this is where it comes down to strategy. We hit the 42-minute mark. We know pit stops are going to be coming through rather shortly. Looking at our hypercars, I mean, Kruger is sitting on 9% virtual energy left. That is enough to do one more lap if he is really looking after it. The others are sitting on 11. They might be able to get a second lap in. It's going to be cutting it close. Who's going to pull the trigger first? When do you pull the trigger? And this is where the communication with the team is absolutely paramount to make sure you can stay ahead of the field.
And absolutely, Stephen. And this is where strategy, you mentioned, strategy really will be making the difference. One bad stop can completely change the outcome of your championship battle. We've seen the likes previously in previous rounds where drivers had to go through the pits not once, not twice, but 3 times before they're able to get the fuel into the car. Something that does not really work with the matrix in the coding or something in the game, or in the sim, don't call it a game, in the sim where it just goes and just doesn't really want to work. And many of these drivers that are fighting for positions on the championship, for specifically the podium side, are hoping and crossing their fingers that they do not get that misfortune, and that their competitors rather get it for get the misfortune there. But it's also that the likes of Carl Oosthuizen and Johan Blugner, these two have shared a great battle throughout the championship. At Sebring, they were exchanging positions back and forth. Carl Oosthuizen going until going 1 lap longer compared to the likes of Johan Blugner. And around a circuit like Le Mans, you can fuel save, you can be cautious, you can try to extend. But if you are too gutsy and take way too much of a big risk, it's a long circuit for you to be able to tow back from. It's not going to be a quick, oh, just around the corner, tow, and then you are there. It is a long one. And these two, I believe, are maybe working together in order to fuel save, in order to maybe catch Pretorius, but Pretorius has checked out already. But they have to keep their minds on the likes of Viete Buerta, who's behind them. Viete Buerta is close. He is in that striking position. One mix-up in the pit strategy, and he will snatch second, maybe even third, from the likes of Oosthuizen and Blugner.
It's always interesting play to it as well. And I do want to talk about, I mean, the 2 BMWs we got on screen at the moment, the 3-litre inline 6 turbocharged cars putting out about 500 horsepower, are keeping ahead of the 4-litre twin turbo V8 of the Aston Martin AMR that is currently fighting for the run. Always good to see the drivers pushing themselves that little bit more and hoping to really make it work. But it also does bring in what's the size of the engines for our hypercars. And to give you a little bit of a breakdown of it, the Aston Martin uses 6.5 litre 12 V12, naturally aspirated compared to its competitors. The Toyota of Affairs uses 3.5 litre turbo V6, the Ferrari is using a 3 litre turbo V6, same as the Peugeot, hoping to do a little bit more as well. So it's good to see that manufacturers trying to get different approaches. So as we do see Esteban Pretorius into pit lane, which means Carl Oosthuizen and Blugner will take first and second respectively, and Pretorius first of the top 5 to pull into the pits to get himself sorted. Question is Vietier following through? Yes, he is. But Todd, is he going to go through pit lane? And it looks like the BMW going to be doing exactly that. Dennis Gillett going to continue on his drive. Wants to really keep on the power. Conrad Martin not close to pit lane as yet. Question that also comes in for the top, Henry Mayer, who cuts through the field. Conrad Martin sees an Aston Martin in his mirror, goes and sees Henry Mayer come on by. Chris Stalls will be following through next. Are these two going to dive into pit lane? No, they're not. They're going to continue on. So is Conrad Martin and Arno Kraus. Will Fleming Bauer, who is currently holding 3rd place, go into the pits and possibly give a chance for young Kleinans? Not this time round. Kleinans, who's miles back, seeing the championship fleeting away from him, just going and crying a little bit on that one. Unfortunately, going to be hurting as he holds 4th position. A good climb up from him. Brandon Kruger further down in 5th after a couple of mistakes, and now has to see it through to the end. Jaco Kutzer in 6th. In 7th place is Jan Verveers in that Toyota. Still circulating, still going, still keeping up a great effort. Dennis Gillett up into 3rd place for the McLaren 720S Evo. He's hoping to just keep himself in a little bit of no man's land at the moment. 35 seconds away from Esteban Torres, who was the first of our GT3s in the top 5 to get into the pits. We did see earlier on a couple of drivers getting themselves sorted. Other drivers like Maton, Viertebuerta, Arno Kraus all dive into pit lane to get themselves out on the circuit as well. So, mix up towards the front. Crystals, Kleinans, Henry Mayer all into the pits. Henry first to come out. You can see really doing a burnout there to get himself going. Fleming Bauer into pit lane. Crystals now leaves the box and will continue on the charge. So, lots and lots of drivers getting themselves sorted for the last 36 minutes and 53 seconds. Kyle Oosthuizen and Blicknote, first and second on the way through. Cameron, as a driver, final race of the season, you're in for the fight, in for the top 5, you're fighting for championship points. You're also out there versing competitors that are new to the sim. You know them from past, but getting to battle it out on track, the pressure, what will be going through these drivers' heads right now? Seeing the clock has ticked down to 36 minutes and 18 seconds till the end of the RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship Season 2.
Well, Steve, from my side, I would normally say, well, you might know them from a different sim or whatever, but this is a completely different sim. You do not know how they will react in the sim. You don't know what they're going to be doing in how they might be performing in the sim. I mean, we've seen many drivers make the switch between different sims and unfortunately have a bit of a drop off in their performance compared to the previous one as to different aspects within the cars or how the sim does different things. So it's going to be different, and the drivers they know there might be clean races or race car drivers. However, one little mistake and it's game over, unfortunately, and that's what's going to happen here. We've seen before Kyle Oosthuizen and Blicknote, we mentioned earlier, everybody dives into the pits in order to get their energy done, as they do now. They are able to go a lap longer, which will again promote the likes of Pretorius into the lead if he's able to go enough fast enough around here. But it's going to be quite difficult to really maximize it. We've seen many shock strategies going on here. We've seen them go extension of the fuel runs, whatever's going to happen. We as commentators can only speculate. For drivers, it's going to be something else. They have a championship on the line. They know what they need to do in order to get there, and they've done the calculations. They know who's going on. As you see, a bit of a off-track excursion there for Dennis Gillett. It's going to be a tricky one, I think, for many drivers to figure out what they want to do here, and also how they're going to battle the competitors they're sharing the track with, whether they're new, whether they're old. If they're new to the sim, they're new to the sim. You don't know what to expect. Treat every driver, old or new, as someone else, and don't get too comfortable with the people around you.
This is it. Well, Henry Mayer and Fleming Bauer making the debut on the RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship, going and keeping a good run. Brandon Kruger ahead of Crystals. Chris down into third place. A driver that has not usually been so far down the field. He's had a very consistent season. Round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all with first place. Round 7 due to an incident that landed up with his car getting smashed to pieces and needing a bit of work. Got his second place. Well, Brandon Kruger going to be taking that fight to him. He's looking rather unstable out of the Porsche curves through Chevrolet. Now heading up to the chicane. Dives up on the inside. Kruger tries to battle back, but just didn't have enough in the brakes. Over the curves they go. Crystals now in the Peugeot 9X8 will hold on to second place and hope to open this gap a little bit further on at current. It's still a very tough race out there. There's still lots of time on the board, and many of the drivers having to think, what do they need to do to see it through to the end? Another one diving through the box is Conrad Martin, getting himself sorted. He drops down into 7th of our GT3 field. Let's take a look at who is where, starting with our hypercar class, because out in front is Henry Mayer in the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Chris Stalls holds on to second place. A little bit further back, 1.8 seconds. Brandon Kruger is on the, 2 seconds. Brandon Kruger, 1.8 seconds on the back of Sills. Fleming Bauer holds on to 4th place with Johan Kleinert. Rounding out the pack of our hypercars is the likes of Jean Verveers. Fortunately, a DNF happening for the likes of Kutzer and Klaassen. The Ferrari going and landing up with a bit of an issue, and so does the Aston Martin early on, not able to even see it through to the end of lap 1. Looking at our GT3 field, different story, as it is Carl Oosthuizen who continues to lead out the pack. Pretorius not able to do so. What on earth happened to the likes of Pretorius, because he is way down into 3rd. Carl Oosthuizen getting the best stop of his life, looking to take yet another checkered flag for the championship. He holds on to 1st. Johan Blutnoot in 2nd place. This is good points for him, as Esteban Pretorius holds on to 3rd with the Lamborghini. 4th place, Viertier Buerta getting chased down by Dennis Gillett, Priam Mouton, Mike McGear, Conrad Martin. A little bit further down is in 8th place. 9th is Arno Kraus, and the likes of Gerard van der Venter in the Red Bull colours. McLaren is fighting out for 10th. Unfortunately, is the last of the runners. We did see Pacheco going and running into difficulties that landed up with him done and dusted out of his race. A couple of DNFs coming in. Dion Kopp out of the race. That is a big one to talk about.
Ooh.
Dion Kopp gone out of the race. He has now lost out all points there and joins the likes of Johan Bego-Krobler in losing out. I mean, that is a gut-wrenching blow for the Ferrari driver who was doing so well. And 3rd place, goodbye. Kissed it goodbye. And that would officially move Johan Blutnoot into the top 3. He's going to be rather happy on that one. And no pressure on it. 10 points behind. Well, 2nd place scores him those 10 points. And he will be moving up into 3rd. Possibly even into 2nd place, causing Pacheco to go down into 3rd place by the end of it. Unfortunately, Bego-Krobler going and is out of the race. Esteban Pretorius will go and gain that time as well, moving up into 5th place. 1st place is 25 points, 2nd is 18, 3rd place is 15, 4th is 12, 5th is 10, and 6th place is 8, followed by 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th are going to be 8, 6, 4, 2, 1, and 11th and below is 0 points for the championship. But Dion Kopp, due to a problem, is officially out of the race and is out of the championship.
Now, Steve, that was a bit of a shocking one. I mean, we spoke earlier about Dion Kopp just needs to finish where he was, or just maintain position, and he would be pretty much sorted. He would be golden and get where he needs to be. And unfortunately, having some kind of mechanical failure there, or just deciding the car needs to be retired with some damage on it there. But we asked about what went wrong with Pretorius. I'm placing my money. Oh, contact at the back. Pretorius, speaking of the driver in the Lamborghini, gets turned around at Tete Rouge and hits that inside barrier. That hopefully didn't hit it, maybe just kept it on the grass. That is not what he would have wanted, as that has allowed the likes of Viertier Buerta to close on down on the Lamborghini. The Raging Bull now seeing red in front of him and hoping to pull a gap there, as he got tangled between the likes of our hypercars. I believe an Aston Martin, a Valkyrie, getting involved in a bit of contact there and resulting in him being turned around onto the rundown into Tete Rouge. It has gone from leading the race to 3rd and having a potential spin. Not the race that Esteban Pretorius would have wanted.
And that tanglement was actually with Henry Mayer, as we do see Fleming Bauer coming through. So Henry Mayer going and causing a little bit of chaos for likes of Pretorius. That could have been the end of his race, taken him out of the running. Not ideal circumstances, however, it is going to still keep him going. But Viertier Buerta rubbing his hands together, 3rd place, staring right in front of him, will be going and licking his lips on this one. Can he go and pull the money, well, pull the rabbit out of the hat here and score a 3rd place? Get onto the podium yet again, and that will be a big knock to Pretorius in trying to score the points to try and be a little bit further up. Remember, if he's 3rd down, he's going to be aiming for 10 points. That's going to cost him out. You'll get ahead of Bego-Krobler, but not to that further up. So this is going to be an interesting time. That being said, Vietia Buerta going to be putting the hammer down as much as he can. And if I could take any quote out of Vietia Buerta whenever he's in the car, it's going to be, come on, But, let's go. Let's go. And cheering on the whole way through. Going and putting his inner logistical nightmare towards the likes of Esteban Pretorius, who is now going to be saying a few words to the Valkyrie of Henry Mayer.
Absolutely, Stephen. And I do believe that Vietia Buerta will be trying to make a nightmare of himself in the mirrors of Pretorius there, as he is hunting him down, going into Arnage on the brakes and in a long run up. He's got that slipstream, and Lamar again, a lot of combinations of long straights and then some twisty bends here and there, but it's mainly long straights. And if you get a good slipstream, you are able to capitalize on that top end that you've got to gain over the car up ahead. But Vietia Buerta, good driver, great driver, shared many battles with him on the circuit and really knows how to put up a fight and make you think continuously where he is going to place that car, keep the mirrors busy, where he's going to try and make it a move there, as it almost looked like quite a bit of a snap there as they head into the Porsche curves there. But I'm very curious, Stephen, the drivers are not really utilizing the full run of Porsche curves. They're very hesitant of that outside curbing with a wall right on the exit curb there. You think they're a bit scared of maybe crashing the car there?
Getting a little bit too close. It's always a risky 50-50 situation. We can bring it close to the wall, but we did see the likes of Brandon Kruger actually clipping it. It's a very fine line through Porsche curves, and depending on how much you're going to push it, the cars going through the likes of Porsche curves at 216 kilometers an hour. One mistake can mean the likes of a scratch against the wall or your race ended, as we have had in the past. Esteban Pretorius starting to pull open the gap to Vietia Buerta now, who tries to close it up under braking. Pretorius putting the hammer down and wanting to really get going as Buerta has lost the car at the top by Dunlop Bridge. He's lost the car, and that was third place fight put to bed for now. And the only way is just lighting up the rears, not getting the grip he wanted, and unfortunately threw him down a little bit further. And take a look at that. One spin, nearly 10 seconds adrift of Pretorius, who was once right there for the taking. Still a monumental fight. Quick flash of lights coming in for Bliffnote saying, listen, not going to quite get the pass on you at the moment, Carl. Let's go and focus on the drivers. Johan Kleinans will be going and snatching his way around the outside through the marbles. He does flip to the inside line, just trying to navigate the GD3s at the moment. He is currently 5th of our hypercars, trying to chase down Brandon Kruger. 29 seconds adrift of him, but it is still Henry Mayer and Crystals continuing to fight on. A simple mistake that nearly cost a position for Pretorius and nearly a place in the championship. Well, now gets to go a little bit further. Carl Oosthuizen and Johan Bliffnote fighting out first and second, and 0.5 adrift. Working together here to keep the momentum. Bliffnote knows that he doesn't have to fight for first place. He knows that it's just about maintaining the gap. He's got the likes of Carl Oosthuizen, the championship of our GT3 for Season 2, continuing to make his way through, looking to take the final checker flag of the season in that BMW after a dominating season. However, we do know that Lamar is a cruel, cruel mistress. It will either work with you, give you a hug, sing you a song, and serenade you to sleep, or it is going to be that absolutely wacky, wild X that you've had in the past that really drives you around the twist, or it's going to be that mother-in-law with the flip-flop. Trust me, that's not the one you want to deal with. That's generally going and losing it through Indianapolis, or in what your case was talking about, being fearful of the Porsche curves. That is the flip-flop.
Some very interesting choice of words there from you, Stephen. But I mean, Lamar can serenade me anytime, but as long as it does not sing me the French national anthem, because we've heard it enough in 2023 when we were battling it out in the Rugby World Cup there. We've had enough of it there. I do not want to listen to it in a long time again. Once a year is more
queuing
than
it
happy
in
with
playlist.
me.
Got it.
No, no, I'm just quickly going to give a bit of an insight here to our virtual grandstand here. So Stephen has a little playlist that he likes to play every time that we're on the plane as we travel between these two different stuff. And all of them are songs that will always irritate me. And he finds the most joy in it in order to just fire me up or have me just randomly burst out the chorus of the song. That is Stephen's mindset in order to just, I don't know, rattle my cage. He just needs to pull that card next time we're in the car, and I need to find a song that irritates him.
Keeping you awake. It's all keeping you awake. Much like our drivers fighting around the circuit here, having to keep awake. Now, we are in a bit of a lull period. 21 minutes to go. We've got the likes of Carl Oosthuizen and Johan Blokhuis who are close to one another. Everyone else is around 2 seconds adrift. What can a driver do, especially around the long circuit like Le Mans, to keep themselves engaged, to keep themselves locked into the race? And like the case of Esteban Torres in 3rd place, where he's just driving around at the moment, VT Words, the same thing. You're just driving. You're just following through. This is a bit of hot lapping. What can you as a driver do to keep you engaged that this race needs to continue on and that you don't land up trying to look at the birds that unfortunately will put you into the wall?
I don't think there's much a driver can do, Stephen, unless just focus on the corners ahead. Down the Mulsanne, I don't even recommend opening up a bottle of Coke or even a stereo stumpy, or just take a look at the messages that popped up on your phone, because Le Mans, it might look like a long straight, but in a blink of an eye it is right there. And the issue is many drivers have come up to the commentary box and spoken to us, have said that even during the long endurance races around the mile, the darkness that surrounds you around Mulsanne Straight is just something that it just makes you feel comfortable. It's like a warm blanket that wraps around you and just lulls you to sleep. Yes, we can do what David van Wyk said, turn up the volume and listen to the car. However, if you love motorsport, you love cars and you love the engines, that will be like a lullaby, just putting you to sleep, no matter what. However, for the drivers to really stay awake out here, if you want to drink something, get a coffee, because you might need it. It's difficult, especially if you're on a lone battle driving around. You don't have anybody around there, and then an occasional blue flag to wake you up. It's difficult to really stay in the zone and focused for such a long track as Le Mans. But that's what makes it so special, and takes a special breed of drivers in order to really succeed at this track.
I think another one that the drivers can do is looking at the delta, trying to keep consistent with your deltas, try and improve your deltas. That's going to be the main thing. You've got your target lap you were given at the start of the race for maintaining fuel, but you also want to keep within the deltas as well. And that's generally another thing drivers would do. They'll start to look to their dashes and saying, okay, am I up on my delta or am I down on my delta? Where am I losing time? Where am I gaining time? Just to try and figure out what to do that a little bit more. Remember, a delta is a good show of how far you've been improving in through the race, what the car's doing during the course of the race, and how far you really need to put the hammer down to be at the top. So these are all little things that you can utilize during the course of the race. We don't advise going on your phone and driving. That is extremely dangerous.
Except in the sim. Okay, sometimes.
Well, even in a sim, if you've got a high enough direct drive and you take your hand off the steering wheel, rest assured, it will hurt you. These
even speaks of experience.
Far too much, actually. Needing an operation on a right shoulder from doing exactly that in this very sim. So these are little factors that you've got to be aware of. You might be in a sim, but you need to treat it like a drill. You need to keep yourself locked in. Conversations with the team is also quite a crucial part. Even if they're not giving you information on where you're on the race, where you're on Delta, just having that little bit of something in the background to get them going. And that's why it's so important to have our virtual grandstands out there as well, who are able to give that confidence, that cheer, that push on, that go, go, go attitude for many of the drivers to really dig deep, to go that little bit forward, as we do see the likes of Jean Verveers diving into the pits. This is unusual. He's gone through pit lane once before, and now he's going into the pits yet again. Why on earth would he do that?
I wanted to bring it up earlier, Stephen, as he did miss his pit box there. We did see him in the pits. Another question is, was he out of... and I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't think about it much. Was he perhaps out of position on race start? Because you do get a drive-through for that. Did he
This isn't
run...
a drive-through. This is a stop. That's up and down.
Yeah.
That is a quick stop. I've got a funny feeling there wasn't enough in that tank to see him through to the end. And the team calling for a quick stop. Hey, listen, get in the pits. Let's give you a little bit of a top-up and get you back out there. And for Fears, who went through the pits once before, unfortunately had to do it all over again. And that would be for the amount of energy and confirmation coming in. When he pulled into the pits, he was on 10% versus the rest sitting on 80% when they exit pit lane. Verveers was low and needed that splash and dash. The calculations, unfortunately, not working out in his favor. He's battling to hold on to the car as well as he makes his way onto the Mozon straight and get going yet again. Frustration will be running through the helmets of, come on guys, why didn't this work? Dennis Gillett into the box, major damage to the McLaren.
That has got to be either a... Well, we've spoken previously before. Normally that rear amount of damage comes from two circumstances. Either going rearward first into the barrier from losing the rear and they're not able to stop it before because there's not a lot of runoff around Lamar, and well, not enough killer to slow down the car, or getting a proper rear inspection from a hypercar that's closed down too fast, clipped the rear wing and said goodbye. I mean, we've seen it before. Where the rings might get a bit of entangled, one can say, and then the slower class car rear wing gets ripped off. I hope that Dennis Gillett is able to get the car fixed and continue driving it. It's the last race. We want to see him finish this race at least. That's the best, like I say. Goes up on the jacks, tires are going to get changed, gets dropped, there's the rear wing getting slapped on, and away he goes. Happy to see him continuing out there and continuing to race in the 59, or garage 59 entry car, or liveried car there for the McLaren.
From 6th place all the way down to 9th. Mike McGeer, Conrad Martin, Arno Kraus going to be happy about that. And it does look like we may have a right race at the end of pit lane as Gerard van Venter in the McLaren gets on by. He dives past Dennis Gillett, who leaves pit lane. Dennis, last of the GT3 runners after the damage to the car. 14 minutes and 32 seconds left of this race. And not what you want to be having. Mistakes creeping in and landing up with drivers throughout the race, starting to feel the pain. Let's go through some of the drivers that are not going to see the check flag. Andre Macheka is unfortunately out of the race. Jaco Kutzer, Dion Cobb, JD Hildenes, Cole Stig, Bego Krobler, Mordre Claessens, all out of the race, not going to be seeing it through. Drivers that have missed out the race: Kerry Duplessis, Chris Heineken, Michael van Rooyen, Dan Brown, Bernard Barkhuis, Wesselwoden, and Ulrich Kleinans, who have missed out the final race. They have been racing throughout the season, unfortunately, not able to make it tonight, but still going and cheering on from the sidelines and really pushing on. With 13 minutes and 40 seconds to go, reflection back on this championship has just been absolutely incredible. Good to see so many drivers coming out and racing, but we look to see more and more coming through racing till the very end for season 3. That's going to be happening out. We're taking a 3-week break from driving and we'll be back. We will have season 3 that will continue into December and then ending it there for 2025. Don't want to miss that at all. We do have the mid-ran 970 racing, or 950 that's racing this weekend on Saturday the 4th on Assetto Corsa Competizione. So if you want to have some fun around Kyalami for 9.5 hours, that's going to be coming out to you here at RaceFace.Pro. Head over to our Discord and get entered for that race. Also, massive shout out. We're going to talk about Because I don't know about you, Cam. I've been playing out on a couple of sims throughout the season, and I've been having some fun out there with Simulator Cave and with EG Evolved. Brand new gear getting brought in. Simulator Cave signing off. They have officially gotten as a reseller for Fanatec in South Africa. One of the very, 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 very few companies that managed to get that right. They've finally got that all signed off and ready to go. Likes of EG Evolved, that's bringing in next generation gear. I was having a chat to the guys out there and finding out what's happening. I'm really, really looking forward to the new next generation seat that they're going to be bringing in that actually has fans built into it. That's going to be a summer saver for any of the drivers here in South Africa. But do utilize EG Evolved and Simulator Cave if you are looking for some of the best quality at affordable prices in sim racing and flight simulation gear. Also, had a chat to Rhino Utility. They've been excited this entire season through LMU being the second season, being around for the first season. It's just been one of those great things to see Rhino Utility sticking on board along with Team SBR, going and helping in the background, getting things all organized. And then I had a chat to our star that's in reasonably priced cars. And I'm going to say that because, well, he's out there putting on a great show. The virtual motorheads himself, going and giving us some great showing on here in South Africa, but also giving some valuable insights on how different gear feels from the likes of Fanatec, Moza, and moving on through it all. I'm looking forward to some new videos coming out. He's very, very interested in putting some Fanatec stuff together with Simulator Cave, so I'm looking forward to seeing those reviews coming out, because if you've been in the market like myself for upgrades in simulation gear, you always want to do your research before you just grabbing and buying and have a, well, regret on that purchase.
Absolutely. Having proper research done on the tech that you are willing to take out into the virtual racing world is absolutely something that you need to do. So, yeah, some great work being done by our sponsors there in the background there and really assisting there. So, just great. But take a look again at this battle here. Dennis Gillett and Gerard VDV, both in the McLaren, the Red Bull versus the Garage 59 car. Dennis Gillett unfortunately having a bad pit stop, having to get the rear wing replaced of the car, and then it diced out of the pits, meaning that he was on cold tires, where her VDV was on much faster tires. But what has gone down here? Dennis. Speaking of this battle, slowed down. Dennis Gillett comes flying past. Gerard says thank you very much, and is slowing down even more, not really able to close the gap. What is going on here? Team orders, respect between the same brand. What is, not even team orders, no, respect between the brands. I wonder, well, not brands, manufacturers.
No, well, it looked like that likes of Gerard VDV, and looking at the car, he's not getting the grip he wants and starting to get more and more and more of the understeer. He was coming onto the Mozon and the car was turning in, but not quite, and he did tap the brakes once, twice, 3 times just to slow it down, not wanting to catch a wall on the left hand side. And anyone knows, if you're hitting the brakes in towards one of the longest straights in motorsport, you're gonna be in pain. You're not only compromising 1 or 2 kilometers, by the end of the straight he was 23 kilometers slower than Dennis Gillett before braking. 23 kilometers is the equivalent to a 1.5 seconds time-wise, and it does show, where Gerard VDV not able to close that gap to Dennis Gillett, who is now flying through. Gerard van der Venter also battling with the car, under braking, getting a little bit unstable there, a lot of trail braking, coming out of the corner even, just to get himself going. I think the tires starting to have a little bit of a fall-off period at the moment as they continue on the charge. With 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go, Henry Mayer still leads out the charge with the Aston Martin Valkyrie, but Crystals in second place is 8 minutes away from calling himself a 2-time champion in RaceFace.Pro. LMU, the Peugeot, being a 2-time champion here in RaceFace. and going to be smiling ear to ear for the Delta Negative team. He will beat out the likes of Johan Kleinans, who will hold on to second place. Third place at the moment is going to be Fleming Bauer in the Aston Martin after a debut here in RaceFace.Pro. LMU, they're going to be smiling for the Pandacity, putting both cars in the top 3. Unfortunately, not going to be having Mordre Claessens, but Mordre will be cheering on from the sidelines with a big smile on his face, along with the Pandacity team. After they've had some great success in various esports, they're going to be also looking to have some success here tonight, carried over tomorrow for the ACC Championship, where they're going to be properly fighting for that top 3. Brandon Kruger in 4th place for the Omnius Gaming. He is fighting out with that Ferrari. Will have to really go back to the drawing board after a bit of a rough season for him. And season 3 is going to have to be a bit of a pull it together right at the last to ensure he gets flying. Johan Kleinans will be clinching on second on the championship, however, will not be on the podium here at Le Mans for the Delta Negative team. And that's a bittersweet. You got the victory, but you couldn't get yourself on the podium due to lap 1 spin, costing him so much time. John Fears will be rounding out the pack in 6th place for our hypercars. Last 6 minutes and 17 seconds to go. Our winner of the championship from round 7, that is Carl Oosthuizen, going to be cruising through, hoping to get the checkered flag to say it was a dominating effort for the Project Vapor team. And Carl Oosthuizen, who's been keeping himself going and hoping to really go and stand at the top. He's going to be having the likes of Johan Blicknoit chasing him down. Blicknoit's going to be happy on his points in the championship, and that he will be bringing himself into contention for that top 3 and looking to walk home with a trophy, not only for the championship, but here at Le Mans. Esteban Torres down in 3rd place. Hasn't had the easiest of times this way through. A dominating run at the first half of the race. However, the pit stop's not going to plan. The undercut did not work out in his favor. That will be taking 3rd place here at Le Mans. Nothing to scoff at, as he did manage to dispatch Viertier Buerta after a little spin by Dunlop Bridge early on in the race. Cost him that 3rd place. The Aston Martin now just trying to see it through to the end and holding on to 4th. Not bad at all to sit in the top 5. Quilmonton out there in the bend. BMW has also a rough season, but has turned it into a positive here tonight, getting himself into the top 5. Mike Nagier on his return back to Simra racing after a major hiatus from every single sim in the whole scene. Going to be finishing up in 6th place and finishing out in the championship. Going to be smiling ear to ear on that one. Conrad Martin in 7th position. Driver for the Treehouse Works Racing. Going to be really going and pushing it a little bit more and hoping to have a better run come season 3. However, this is no laughing effort for him, finding it out, and also as a program driver on ACC tomorrow night, has been splitting his practice between LMU and ACC, both in a McLaren, but both with fundamental differences in their braking. Arno Kras out in 8th place is going to be smiling. Dennis Gillett in 9th, and rounding out our pack, here's the likes of Gerald van der Venter, who has made his debut here in LMU, has stuck around, fighting his way through, getting it through to the end, and honestly, for a couple of the drivers, you could say, they live up to the motto. If you see the green flag, you got to see the checkered. While Carl Oosthuizen gonna be fighting to see that checkered flag as Blicknote gets the pass on the inside, heading into the hairpin. Now it is Oosthuizen who has the toe, a little bit of a wiggle as well. Blicknote going and referring, and that is a bit of communication there. I wonder if Oosthuizen saying he's not gonna pass Blicknote, instead he's gonna help him out here to maximize the points, and this is going to help Blicknote gain some advantage in the championship. Carl Oosthuizen nearly had a go around the outside. He does back off a little bit, and he is going to go for the last 2 minutes and 46 seconds, which is one more lap for these GT3s after they do a 4-minute 5 lap time around the mark. This is going to be Blucknote going through to the end. Has he got enough to hold on to first place? Is there enough of agreement between the likes of Blucknote and Oosthuizen to push on? Cam, I'm going to say something very controversial here because, well, you know me. I don't like to hold my mouth shut on this.
10-4, lads. Here we go. What's on your mind there, Mr. Stephen J. Koenig?
This little agreement of, hey, I'm not going to pass you. We're going to work together. We're going to see it through to the end. This is a load of nonsense. Now, I go and give a shout out to the Omnius Gaming drivers. I give a shout out to the Project Vapor. I give a shout out directly to Blucknote and Oosthuizen. I don't think the two of you have the guts to go and fight it out for first place. This little protect each other is not working out. You got one lap to make it work. This is Le Mans. This is for the final race of Season 2 of the Le Mans Ultimate. You are two of the finest sim racers out in South Africa, and you're telling me for the last lap of the race, you're going to hold back. You're going to give up. You're going to roll over. Man, oh man, that is utter nonsense. So the challenge goes out to you two directly. If you have the guts, I want to see a race to the end, not a back off. And that's the same to Henry Mayer and Chris Stalls, who are 3 seconds apart. I don't want to see this like lift off and let the guys go. Oh man, the championship is the championship. First place is first place. You had a chance to race throughout, pushing one another for an hour and 20, but now you're going to back off? Now you're going to back off? No. Absolute garbage.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the words of Stephen Koenig when it comes to sim racing. Now just imagine how it was during the McLaren fiasco at Monza. But no, I absolutely do agree. I do know that the likes of Carl Oosthuizen is not part of Project Vapor. He's part of a different team, but the call still goes out, guys. Do not back down. Give it horns to the very, very end. David Van Beek, you've been in support of them for a for this entire season. Give them give Carl the fact. Give a battle till the end. We want to see a battle till the end and not a coast to win, or just a coast and let the guys win. The closest competitors for the likes of Blucknote is far behind him, but still, don't just let the points go off for Blucknote. Is way behind him. Don't just let him take the win for the sake of taking the win. The faster guy will be the one that was on top. We saw it in pits, we saw it throughout the series. Give it all gas till the very, very end, not just back out. The gap has gone down a little bit, but it will not be enough as a Hypercar slides through, going into Molson corner and then hard on the brakes, the two being close to one another. They have sort of formed, one can say, a bit of a friendship with one another during the course of the season with the close battles, but friendships go out the window when it comes to racing. It's all about the glory at the very, very end. As we do see, close gap, less than a less than a 10th, slipstreaming. Do not. I hope this is not a bump draft move.
They bump draft.
This is bump
drafting. Honestly,
it's
okay.
Yeah.
Bit of bump drafting going into Indianapolis. Johan Blucknote eating up the field. Carl Oosthuizen second place. Victorious will go into third place. A quick flash of lights coming in from Carl Oosthuizen. Looking to try and get by, but this is a bit of talking to one another. And a wiggle.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, I'm done with this. Bye, guys. As we take a look at Henry Mayer. Oh, come on. Henry Mayer gets in, stops. Good, well done on him. He gets a first place overall and a first place in the Hypercars on the debut run. Chris Stalls takes the second place in the first place in the race. Well, in the championship, second in the Hypercars. Fleming Bell finishes up into the top 3 on his debut here at LMU for RaceFace.Pro. Brandon Kruger comes across the line in 4th place. Johan Kleinans will clinch 2nd in the championship, finishing in 5th. Not an ideal run for him, but still a solid effort. Jean Verveers will finish up in 6th place as he continues on for the Hypercars. Coming up to the line, however, Johan Blitnote will take the victory. Carl Oosthuizen will roll over and take 2nd place. Whippy Doodah Day. Esteban Pretorius will finish up in 3rd place, putting in a stellar effort in the first half and really gone and given it his absolute all. Good to see him out there. Unfortunately, the undercut got the better of him. Vietia Buerta fought it out. 3rd, heading into 4th place. And got to say, well done to the Aston Martin driver. He's really, really gone for it. Grimaton will finish up in 5th. 6th place goes to Conrad Martin. Arno Kraus will finish up in 7th position at the moment. Dennis Gillett rounds out in 8th. Gerald VDV in 9th. And Mike McGeer, unfortunately, a DNF for him after so close to the end. Mike McGeer not able to get to the rounding pack. I mean, this been a race and a half. Le Mans is where championships are made. Legends are gone and really put forward. Championships have been given. Congratulations to the winner of the championships. Congratulations to everyone that raced their hearts out. Really put it all out there throughout the season in an incredible, incredible series. And it's also good to see a good resurgence of our hypercars to come and join us here at RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship. And honestly, some stellar driving. We've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, we've seen the thrills, seen the drama, but we are also seeing drivers really focus their way through. Got to say, bittersweet, but there can only be one winner in each class, and our top 3 will be receiving trophies from SBR, thanks to them. But, Cameron, this has been a really, really good one. Johan Blitnote fought out from P18, agreed, and he got himself 1st place. I don't have to say that it's nice to see people backing off. It was a fight, yes, but the last little while, when you give it a little bit of a wiggle, I'm gonna leave it there. Well done, Kyle, for winning out the championship. Well deserved. Well done to Blitnote on a good race. Well done to working out. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. We'll leave it to what happens in season 3. That being said, as we come to the end of our race and drivers starting to make their way through, this has been a season and a half. We've seen some great racing. We've seen drivers really push their way through to the top, and honestly, some stellar runs. However, there's always a farewell. There's always a farewell goodbye, but we've also got to acknowledge the winners of the races as well. And I know that you got those interviews lined up, ready to go, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of the feedback from the drivers, not only on this race, but the championship in total.
And absolutely, Steven, it's been a good battle there, and I think we're gonna switch it up a bit here, and bring in let's just bring in all 3 of the hyperclass drivers, really. So that will be the likes of Fleming Bauer, Henry Mayer, and Chris Stalls. But I want to bring you all 3 together and just get this together here. I mean, the Pendacity guys, Fleming Bauer and Henry Mayer. You guys joined the final race with the sight of bringing some pride to the Aston Martin Valkyrie name, that beautiful V12 sound screaming about this very, very beautiful circuit. Tell me how did you guys experience your first race on LMU? Let's start with Fleming Bauer.
Hi, Cameron. Hi, Stephen. It was actually fun. To be honest with you, we chose the car basically on sound alone because it sounds awesome. And yeah, it was actually quite fun, I have to say. First race, had a couple of lockups. Exciting. That's the one word I can say about it. It's exciting and fun.
Well, you mentioned exciting there, but also Henry Mayer, you've been quite a force around on the ACC side, having battled with you quite a lot. Well, more looking at your rear tail lights more than battling you than anything. But you go from ACC towards the likes of LMU. Me and Steven have spoken about the comparison between the two sims, and you go out here and win on your debut. How was that adjustment between the two sims and making that switch between them?
I think the biggest thing was going from the GT3 to the hypercars. Like we came into it just wanting to have fun and having something different at this point. So that's why we chose it, and we were going through all the hypercars over the weekend, testing and seeing which works, and for some reason the Aston just felt good. Everyone said it's a difficult car, but I don't know, it just felt better than the other ones.
It might be a bit something different. Might be due to the fact that it doesn't have that hyper complicated systems running through its core veins there. But again, you went out and win on debut. That has to be something special for yourself, Henry, and also for you, Fleming, to get to be on the podium on debut on one of the greatest circuits out there in the world. It must be something special for you guys.
Definitely. No, it was great. I enjoy Le Mans a lot. It's something I wish there was an ACC. But yeah, I really enjoy the circuit. I enjoy the hypercars. It was great to be on the podium as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I saved Chris specifically for last for one reason and one reason only, and that's Chris. Yes, your perfect winning streak has come to an end though. However, you were able to clinch that title. Walk us through your season experience. How did you experience it, and how did you approach this last race within of the season here, in order knowing that you need to have be in this place in order to clinch that title finally?
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. Well, firstly, my streak already ended last week with the incident and stuff, and congrats to Jan for winning that one, and to Henry for winning this one. Hats off to him. Drove a great race. Yeah, it was difficult. I knew this track would be probably not the best for my car. Yeah, it felt like I'm in a different class on the straights. Yeah, I think when Henry first came past, I think at the start of the straight he was like 7/10 behind, and then next second he's just going past it. I didn't even try defending because it's pointless. So yeah, if Henry says he likes the Aston, I hope he drives it next season. But yeah, no, I think my season was good. Happy with it. All in all, so yeah, really happy to get the championship back to back, and yeah, pretty good.
Well, you did mention that the first inaugural back-to-back championship win for any driver out here in LMU. You went in a Peugeot, the car that many wrote off due to his real-life counterpart absolutely not performing as it should, and taking it to new heights by winning the championship back-to-back. It must be a bit of a feather in your cap in order to carry that number one again for next season.
Yeah, well, I hope there's a Hypercar class to carry it on next season. So yeah, but I mean, it's great that Fleming and Henry and Mondre all joined. It definitely looked good to see, a lot more cars out there tonight, and gives hope that next season we can have another season with the Hypercars. So yeah, if there is one, I'll be sure to run the number one plate.
Well, we always hope to have next season return with a lot more drivers, a lot more cars out on the grid, maybe even throw in a little bit of LMP2 action in there. So that's a bit of my call out to everybody out there. If you want to join and you're a bit scared of the hypercars, but you're also tired of the GT3s, there's a nice little in-between called the LMP2, the Delara P217, an absolutely fantastic car to drive and quite fun to drive, if I must say so myself. But I'm going to give the floor to each and one of you in the order of, of your finishing. So first will be Mr. Fleming Bauer, then Chris Thalls, and then finally Henry Meyer. You guys know the rules. Mike's yours. Keep it PG and family friendly, and give out any thanks you want out there in the world.
Thanks, Cameron. Yeah, I want to say thanks for letting us race. I know it's the final race. Thank you for letting us join and have a ball. Yeah, definitely. It was fun. Chris, Jan, everyone. I mean, as I heard, the season was built by you guys on the LMU side. Really appreciate it. And to everyone watching, thank you. The Panda Boys, everyone was in the Discord supporting, talking us through, having a couple of laughs and also some serious stuff. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Cameron for the commentating, Stephen. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thanks,
much
Cameron.
there, Fleming. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Chris.
yeah, thanks, Karen. Thanks for commentating for the entire season, and thanks to the sponsors who are supplying us with the trophies, I believe, and yeah, for making running the league possible. Yeah, sorry, I just saw the replay there of the first corner, which was a bit crazy. Yeah, no, thanks again for everything, guys. Thanks to Henry and Fleming to come and bring the numbers here and make me work for it. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next season. And thanks to everyone who's been supporting for the whole season.
And then finally,
Yeah,
Mr. Henry Mayer, the floor's
yeah.
yours.
Just massive thanks for even allowing us to race. Uh, Thanks to the commentary, all the sponsors making it possible. And think for Chris, bring the hypercars and we're coming for the #1 plate.
Some good fighting words being spoken there by the Pandacity boys. They're hoping to bring back, well, to come around next year or next season and take the fight to the mighty Peugeot of Crystals and the Delta Negative team. Well done again, Chris, on that championship. Well done on you, Henry, for your first win on debut, and as well as a podium there for Fleming Bauer for the Pandacity boys. I'm going to let you guys go and go celebrate with your teams and enjoy the end of a very successful season here for our LMU Championship Hyperclass category.
Thanks. Cheers,
Thank
man.
you.
And then finally, I'm going to bring in our GT3 class, starting with Mr. Estian Pretorius. You have absolutely been a bit of a force that have snuck up their way into, well, being in the front leading pack. You took charge of of the race in the first half there, and then unfortunately lost a bit there in the second race. Walk us through what happened on your side there, Estian.
Yeah, I mean, I got the pace in quali, secured the pole position, and was able to run away in the first stint, but I was not able to fuel save like the two BMWs behind me. And they jumped me in the pits, and then they just had the pace in the second half, unfortunately.
Well, you did mention there also, and I touched on it earlier there also about the pace, but you seem to have that pace in that Lamborghini. It just seems to have worked out how that Lamborghini just clicks with you. I mean, you were in the first half of the race a bit down on the low, and then suddenly came around the wet weather at Spa-Francorchamps, and you were in the front, battling out with the leading group there, and just making a name for yourself there. Is this something that you hope to continue within season 3 of the LMU Championship, and hope to have a bit of return to form, or are you jumping ship from the Raging Bull Italian brand to another manufacturer?
No, I mean, that's still to be decided. I'm not sure what car will be driven next season, but hopefully the season starts better. I mean, the first 2 races I had technical issues, so I scored 0 points. I was sick for one of the races, so I couldn't make it. I think for half the races this season I scored 0 points. I think 5 races I scored 0 points. So was a bit unfortunate. Hopefully next season goes better.
There's always hope for next season there to continue there, but I'm going to give you the mic, to the floor, to give out a shout out, the final words of the season from your side towards anybody out there in the virtual grandstand cheering you on.
I will just give a shout out to Kyle for winning the championship, and Johan for getting P2, and yeah, just Kyle for getting me in the team. I don't know if you guys saw the liveries, so we are newly acquainted teammates. So hopefully that plays out well in season 3 as well. And yeah, that's it. Let's see what happens next season.
Thank you, Estian, there for some good words out there, and I'm going to let you go and go celebrate with your side of the garage as on a hard-fought season, and hope to see you return next season, ready to take the fight in the championship. Now, Stephen, I'm going to hand our top 2 podium finishers towards you. You seemed ready with some questions for them. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm standing here with the likes of Carl Oosthuizen. Carl, a champion in the GT3's lock, stock, and barrel in round 7. Second place, being your 2 second places this season, finishing up behind Johan Blicknote. A stellar run from the both of you, starting a little bit further back from where you were. How was the race out there, clawing your way from the back, heading towards the front?
Oh, thank you. The race was fun. It's different starting so far back. I'm not particularly good at qualifying. I think I don't even have a pole position this season. But yeah, I knew I had the championship after, gosh, what was the third last round? I can't remember. Imola, I think. So I decided, no, I'm going to start from the back and work my way through as obviously clean and just have fun like that. But yeah, it was lack of fun. Johan was there to join me at the back, and yeah, we had some good racing with him this season, specifically at Sebring. We were bashing doors, but it was hard, fair racing. So that really makes me excited for next season to race Johan again.
And to looking for a 2-time championship for season 3. If you had to look back at the season, what was the most technical for you as a circuit? I mean, the BMW, we know, is a reliable car. Hasn't got the top end, hasn't got the cornering, but it's the car that can really keep you going. If you had to look back, what was the more technical of the circuits before heading to Le Mans, the 13.6 kilometer circuit?
Technical, I would have to probably say Sebring. Reason being the bumps, you got to respect the bumps. And also, it's a very old school circuit. If you go wide and you stick a tire on the grass, you're going to know about it. And it doesn't help when you've got another BMW on your inside, on your outside, all around you. It's a fantastic circuit. I love racing there. But I'd say that is by far my most technical, and it was by far the most difficult race I've had this season. Just battling for, 60 minutes straight. It was awesome.
Well, as a champion, I've got to give the floor to you. Second place here tonight at Le Mans, championship winner for season 2. Anything you want to say to all the sponsors, the admins, and I think most importantly, and you think you can agree with me on this one, everyone out there in the virtual grandstand's been cheering you on all season and witnessing you taking that crown here for season 2 of the RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship.
Yeah, just a shout out to the admin. Very well organized championship. Wasn't any real issues the whole season. Everything ran pretty smoothly. Even we had an update halfway through the season, whatever it was, and it seemed to go well there. The guys, admin really tried their best. All the sponsors of the series, see you for season 3. Excited to see you guys there for season 3. And for my sponsors of my team, to everyone, to the Parts Car, Urban Rebel, Comprehensive Driving Solutions, Team Safe Speed Racing, Koi Solutions. Yeah, thanks for obviously always having my back. And then to my teammate Estion, he's getting there, but he's gonna learn with the Lamborghini that the Lamborghini decides what it wants to do. So maybe he'll make a switch. And then just a final shout out to Johan. Thanks for the great season. It was a fantastic racing every single race. It's a shame with what happened with the glitches, with the virtual energy having to pit 3 times, because I can tell you now, if you didn't have that, this final race and these final couple races would have been completely different, and it seems to be fixed. So I'm looking forward to season 3 where we can really throw down for all 8 rounds or whatever it is. So I'm looking forward to that.
Always good to hear from Carl Oosthuizen, our champion for the GT3 and second place here tonight. That being said, we heard the voice, we heard the name. We got to say a well done to first place here at Le Mans, second in the championship, the victory, pushing him up into second of the championship. Johan Blicknote, welcome to the commentary box. And honestly, what a season for you. From the lowest of lows to the highest of highs to take the final checkered flag in our GT3 class, one of the most competitive classes here at RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship. How are you feeling after it?
Hi, Stephen. I'm a bit rattled. Almost didn't make the race. Got here before the race started, like 1 minute. And yeah, I just loaded the setup, kept my head down, and followed Kyle and see where he left and go so I can save with him.
Well, it was most certainly when we saw the message that you were on the way. I mean, that's always a nerve-wracking moment. What were you doing at the start of the race to kind of calm yourself down, knowing the situation of, hey, you're coming into this properly cold, no practice before the race, you're now having to jump into the race and having to perform, fighting out through the field against some of the big names like Viertia Buerta, Dion Karp, Bego Krobler, and so many more that were out there in the GT3s.
I just relied on muscle memory from the previous races we had on Le Mans. And yeah, the BMW, as you said, is a stable car. You can rely on it on the corner exits. It has some speed down the straights. So just stuck in behind the guys, catch the slip, and just fly past them.
Always good to see. Well, before I let you go and celebrate the victory, take your first place here at Le Mans, anything you want to say to all the admins, to the sponsors, to the drivers and teams that you got to battle out there, most importantly to your team, the Online Gaming, and also, even more important to that, petrol heads out in the virtual grandstands cheering you on throughout the season. And I'm sure going to be following your ventures into Season 3 later this year.
Yes. To all the admins of RaceFace, thanks for making this possible for us and keeping the gears running in the season. And to all the sponsors, thank you all for the prizes we race for and making battle stuff. It's not easy. And the guys coming to watch us and support us, thanks for that. We do see you when we watch the replays. And most important, to Cameron and Steven, thank you all for being the voice, supporting us and encouraging us.
Well, it's always good to say, but I think the biggest fan has to go to David van Veek, who was cheering you on out there in the virtual grandstands. But congratulations. I know that Switch Energy Drinks, AOC, and Inner Apparel will be quite happy with a second place result for the Omnius Gaming team. Jan Blicknote going and joining us in the commentary box, giving his retake on the race and being at the sharp end of the field. That being said, Cam, unfortunately, all things have to come to an end. We leave Season 2 here at Le Mans, and we look forward to having a little bit of a break before we're back with Season 3. But this entire Le Mans Ultimate Championship has brought some of the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. It's had some of the most challenging racing, not only from an administrative position to the drivers, the teams, and even ourselves. We landed up with a little bit of stress as well, but ultimately it all culminated into a final race shootout for the championships where it all just came unglued. There was no way to call in the first half of the race. It was just keep your eye on where everyone is, and at the end, it's all about keeping the rhythm and momentum. This whole season seems to have really lit a fire under the back, and we heard the likes of Pandacity coming for the title in the Hypercar class, going and giving it a there confirmed. They are coming to fight Delta Negative. They are there to take the championship away from Crystals, and you're bringing in some of the fastest in ACC to take on some of the fastest in the Mile Ultimate as per Track Titan.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Stephen. I mean, at the start, we didn't know who's going to be walking away with the championship here and who's going to be, winning it, really. So, and good to see some new names coming in, hoping to take the fight to them. This season, we were hoping that Omnius guys jumping from GT3 all the way into the Hyperclass car was going to be a bit more of a battle and take the fight to the Delta Negative guys, but unfortunately, that did not happen as expected with Bernard Parker is not able to make a majority of the races. But you did mention there we had technical issues. We had system failures pretty much with the game sim not working with us, mid-season updates, different stuff coming out. To see the sim going public finally, going the first official V1 bold within halfway into our championship, and that threw a bit of a spanner in the works. But the drivers as well as the production team really made it possible for the drivers to still go out there. And I'm eager to see what's going to happen in season 3. New teams coming in, hopefully a lot more drivers, making the field a bit bigger. Hoping to add another class if we have that. I'm urging any drivers to go out there for our side. Really, if you're scared of hypercars and a bit tired of GT3s, there's a little in between called the LMP2, and I can really say go give that a bit of a spin there. It's quite fun. But I'm eager to see what's going to be next season, and how the drivers going to be it, who's going to be able to defend their crown, and who's going to have to relinquish that #1 plate at the end of the season.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one. We're taking a little bit of a break, but keep an eye on SimGrid and our social media for any new information coming out in the next couple of weeks to say when our next set of grading will be out on the circuit. Massive, massive shout out. Without our sponsors, we would not be out here on the track today. Virtual Motorheads, SBR, Rhino Utility, Simulator Cave, and EG Evolved all coming on board and supporting us throughout the season, cheering on day after day, race after race, and giving some valuable insight as well of what they thought would be the quickest, what they thought will be the best around each circuit, and even going and getting their clientele to go and have a bit of fun out there. I'll be keen to see Virtual Motorheads going and streaming his point of view out in the race as well, to join in after he's been doing a little bit of time in Assetto Corsa and Assetto Corsa Evo. Maybe twist his arm to come in, play with the big boys out here at RaceFace.Pro. Massive shout out to them. Huge shout out to the teams and to the drivers joining us throughout the season, being part of the show. Our admin team, along with Johan Bego Krobler, who has been keeping an eye on some of the stewarding side, likes of Bertus Hugo, the CEO of RaceFace.Pro. That's also been part of the push, Johan Kleinans and Chris Stolz, who have been heading up the LMU side of things and keeping that ball rolling as well. A big shout out to Jim, who's been out there with the flags. Tim, who's been there with the cameras. Big shout out to you guys. Thanks very much. They pulling zap signs at me. That's not very nice. But big shout out goes to the voice of RaceFace.Pro, LMU, the driver, the Stig himself. Might be the Stig that's a little bit missed out a thing, but Cameron de Bastos, massive shout out. Thank you very much for joining us this season and being one of our voices here at RaceFace.Pro and being the voice for RaceFace.Pro LMU Championship. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the most special of thanks, the special from all of us here at RaceFace.Pro and THT Productions for all the effort goes out to you, the spectators, tuning in, being part of the shows, giving you insight, giving the excitement, cheering on your favorite teams and drivers to get it through to the end, to see who's going to be charging towards the top end of the order. Coming up tomorrow night, we have got the final round of our Assetto Corsa Competizione around Monza. Both Pro-Am are going to be fighting out for the title. Gold and silver as well. Both streams will be up, and you can see it right here on our channel, RaceFace.Pro. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and get ready, because next week, Tuesday, it's round 2 of our iRacing GT3 Championship, and we're going to be changing up the format yet again to keep everyone on their toes. You do not want to miss that. You want to keep an eye on all the action coming to you here at RaceFace.Pro. Follow all our sponsors' social medias. There's lots going on, lots of specials going on, and also follow us. Keep an eye on all the latest news here in the South African sim racing scene. We challenge you around the world to come and take us on. See who is the fastest out here in the different sims. We've got 3 to choose from, and as we're taking a little bit of a breakdown, it's just enough to give you a bit of practice. From myself, Stephen Kernick, and the man, the myth, the legend, Cameron de Bastos, we'd like to say thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to hand it over to Cameron to say the famous 3, well, I would say little sentences that have come to be a part of RaceFace.Pro. Over to you, Cam.
Well, thanks, Stephen. And from my side, I want to say good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everybody out there, and we'll see you next season on at our LMU Championship. Good night, everybody.